What is up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Crease. Today's episode is going to be all about the end of the series. Round one of the playoffs is done. We've got a bunch of series to recap. Do you like Game 7s? If you do, you're going to like this episode. Here we go. All right, we are going to start off with the Wild and the Blues because we covered the Avalanche series, the Avalanche and the Predators, earlier last week, so go back and watch that episode if you want to. We're done with them. They swept. We talked all about it when we talked Game 4. So we're going to start right away with Wild and the Blues today. Wild and the Blues series went 6 games. The Blues won it 4-2. Pretty dominant fashion, if you ask me. Game 6, a deciding game. The Blues didn't mess around. They won 5-1. It was impressive. Looking at this series as a whole, we'll start on the Blues side because they won it. You look at their points leader, David Perron, ex-Vegas Golden Knight, did a nice job, even spread in goals and assists. So well done by him, sharing the load, passing, getting other guys involved, but also shooting well himself. Something you love to see from your top guys. And right below him, who is it? Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly, special guy on their Stanley Cup win a couple years ago, 2019, I believe. Ryan O'Reilly led the way for them. So good to see him right there. And obviously Tarasenko. Those 3 guys are going to lead the way as long as this Blues team can go. So it's good for Blues fans. See them at the top of the list. See them doing well. You love to see that. Their goalies are both playing well. Binnington, 3 wins in this series, which is exciting for them. They won 4 games. He won 3 of them. So that's got to feel good going forward. If you're a Blues fan from the Wild perspective, they got a bright future, is what I'll say. I mean, Kaprizov, 24 years old. Kid's a star, 7 goals in this first round. Did an amazing job leading the way for this Wild team that was at a disadvantage. And if they had found a way to get past the first round, I don't think they would have gone farther. But impressive for him. And I think the rest of this team, you've got some belief going forward. Let's step it up. Let's make the push. Let's keep doing better and better. And next year, let's go for a first-round win. So, all in all, this series was not one of the more exciting ones, and I hate to say that because all of hockey is exciting, but not a lot of close games in this series. I mean, you look at a 4-0, a 6-2, 5-1, 5-2, 5-2, 5-1. So, nothing close. The team that won was going to win, and St. Louis did what you need to do as the lower seed. Steal a game at the other team's home. Win your games at home. They lost 1, but they stole 1, so it's okay. They stole 2, so to steal 2 games on the road is very impressive by the St. Louis Blues team, and I'm interested to see how far they go. This is a team that I believe is up against the buzzsaw of the Colorado Avalanche. So, good luck to this Blues team as they surge on. It'll be interesting to see how things go. I turn my attention to those top 3 guys of O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and Perron to lead the way for them. One thing I do want to talk about in this episode is we're talking about the games that decided the series, so the Game 6 or Game 7s, because those are the most recent games and the ones that I can talk to the best. And if we look at the Game 6, Blues with a chance to win it at home. Don't let it go to 7 and the series here. They did just that. They scored 2 power play goals in the second period, O'Reilly and Tarasenko. Using the power play effectively. You will hear me every single time I talk about the importance of scoring on the power play. And the Blues just did just that. So good job by the Blues. And just taking over the game, honestly. I mean, they won this 5-1 and they scored 1 goal in the first and 3 in the second. They removed all hope from the Wild. So the Wild came out in the third period, down 4-0. It's a huge way to be down on the road. So the crowd is into it, and scoring first is a big deal as you look to some of these future games. Scoring first when you're at home in a win-or-go-home game or in a game to end the series is super important. You gotta score first. Score first. Get your fans into it. Get them rowdy, pumped up with you, excited to go. And that is kind of how it's done. We look at this Game 6 shot chart. One of my favorite things. Oh my goodness. Minnesota Wild scored their goal outside the hash mark. Awesome. They actually had more shots under the face-off dots, which is good for the Wild. It's where you want to be, but Blues goalie shut them down, and the Blues scored 4 of their 5 goals at or under the face-off dot, which is how you win hockey games. Get in there, bang around, and get them to go. And you need to get them to go, so that's important. The St. Louis Blues, overall as a team, good team. Going forward, I don't see them going that farther. I think they might have surprised some people with this series win, and I think it'll surprise me to see them win another series. So I'm going to say good job, Blues. Well done. This is where the road ends for you. Awesome. These are going to be quick, so we're going to move quickly through these. The next one we're going to jump to is Panthers Capitals. Breaking the drought, ending the curse. Multiple different droughts and curses. President's Trophy, the Panthers' own personal curse. Winning Game 6, 4-3. This series a little more exciting than the previous one. Some close ones. An OT game, 2 OT games, Game 4 and Game 6. So 2 very pivotal games. And Florida won both of them, which kind of shows the fight they had in them to win this series. If we look at the entire series as a whole, we'll start with Florida, and their lead point getter was none other than Mr. Carter Verhaeghe. 12 points. So 12 points, if we think back to the Blues who won that last series, they had their leading point getter was 9. 12 points is pretty good, and it's a split right down the middle, 6 goals, 6 assists by Mr. Verhaeghe. He led the way for them and did really well. Claude Giroux, who last time we talked about this team wasn't up here, has jumped up, so he turned it on for 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, always been a good passer. Did a nice job to lead the way. Barkov's there with 6 points, and Ekblad's there with 5. So kind of those top 5 guys there, good top 4 guys. Nice to see a defenseman there. And this team, I think, going forward, they're going to want some more Huberdeau. Verhaeghe led them. Giroux brought it up. If this team wants to go farther into these playoffs, if they want to continue to show they are the best team in the league, they run the President's Trophy, they were the best regular season team, they want to win the Cup, they need Huberdeau to come join Verhaeghe. They need Verhaeghe to keep going. They need him to stay consistent. They need him to score, assist, lead them in points. On the Capitals side of things, I think an interesting thing to turn to is that Ovechkin didn't lead them in points this series. If I think about a Capitals team and Alex Ovechkin, I feel like always leads the way in points, but he was second. Tied with Backstrom with 6. It's good to see Backstrom up there. We know he can pass well. And Oshie led them with 6 goals. So assuming that Oshie got a lot of passes from those two, from Backstrom and Ovechkin, and scored a lot. Kuznetsov is another surprising one, only 5 points in 6 games. Kind of feels like the Capitals struggled to score, which they did in this series. They didn't score a lot. Your top point getter only gets 7. You're not getting a lot of points. So disappointing for the Capitals, I would say. Probably had a lot of hopes, but when you go into Bob's going to stonewall you at least once or twice. And in this series, he held them to 1 goal once, 2 goals another time, and he shut them down in OT. They didn't score an OT goal. So when it mattered, Bob was there. Bob led the way. Bob's awesome. In this Game 6 deciding, there was 1 power play goal scored, and I bet you can guess who scored it. It was the Washington Capitals. Washington Capitals, not who you could guess. Sorry. I read it all right, but I said it wrong. It probably should have been who you couldn't guess, because you would assume it'd be Florida. When the series, when the game score, people go, no, the Capitals got it. This is an interesting scorecard for this Game 6. Washington scores first, and they're at home, so their fans are into it. Florida answers right away. Washington scores coming out of the third, so no one scored in the first. That's exciting. Washington starts coming out in the third, then Florida answers. Then Florida goes ahead. Washington ties it late in the third. Fans go crazy. Stadium's packed. We're going to send this to game 7. It's going to be 3-3. We're going to have the advantage. We won game 6. No. Florida comes out in OT. Who else but Verhaeghe from Giroux right away in OT. Take the win. Take the series. Get ready for your next round. So exciting for if you're a Florida Panthers fan. Kind of some weight off your back. I think you can play a little more free. I think you can be a little more hopeful, a little more optimistic about your team. There's nothing against them now. There's nothing holding them back. I mean, that President's Trophy thing's a little there, but first round is where stuff goes wrong. And you got past a good team with some good players, a historically good player, and a lot of other high-talented team. You got a really good goalie in Bob and some young, good players up front. I think you have a little more confidence now this series win, and you go from here into a very exciting next round. Okay, we will move on from that into our first of the 5 Game 7s. The first one we're talking about being the Bruins and the Hurricanes. The Bruins really turned this series around. They lost the first 2. They summed up the old adage of the series isn't over till you lose at home, and they won those 3 and 4 at home. Carolina got 5, Boston won 6, and Carolina won 7. So this was a series of get home rink advantage, home stadium advantage, I guess, and Carolina did just that, and it paid off for them as they were able to get 1 extra game at home, and it was important. This Game 7, which are always exciting to look at, had no advantages taken advantage of. It was all even strength goals. Teravainen scores in the first. Fans go crazy. We're seeing a trend. The home team scoring first, and it's kind of they take that energy and roll with it, or like Florida did they away team answer back and turn the series on its head. So Carolina did the important thing. They scored in the first, and they scored right away in the second. Boston answers. Carolina says, we'll answer right back. Then Boston scores late in the third, but at that point, I think they scored with like 30 seconds left. I see 1938 here, so it's kind of a garbage time goal. They drew up one more play, and you don't have a lot of time. You need a miracle at that point. So once the third period got to that 19-minute mark, it was like, game over. Carolina's going to win. The fans were excited. They were amped. And they deserved it. It was a hard-fought series where some home games played a big role. And if we look at the series as a whole, we'll start with our winning Carolina Panthers. Interesting to see. They had 2 guys both with 8. So lately we've been seeing a team that wins it has a guy right around 10, 9 or 10, 11, 12 points that kind of led the way. Here we have 2 guys, both defensemen for Carolina, which is really fun to see. You always have an offenseman lead it, unless it's Cal McCarr. In this case, 2 defensemen, both with 8 points, Slavin and D'Angelo, followed by all your forwards with Trocheck, Teravainen, Jarvis, Domi, and Aho. Niedermayer's there too, and Svechnikov. Stahl as well, man. So they have a lot of guys with a lot of points. 2 with 8, 2 with 7 shows that this team is different than a lot of other teams. They don't have one blow-away star. I mean, the names people know is Aho. I think some people might know Slavin and Teravainen a little bit, but it's a lot of just teamwork. We're going to pass the puck. They don't have a single player with more goals and assists. They're all Jervis. But they're all unselfish. They're all willing to pass. They're all willing to give up the shot. They're all willing to be the guy who sets up the guy. No one needs the spotlight. No one needs to take 800 shots a game. They're going to move the puck around. They're going to find the good shot. They're going to take it. Anyone might score. And that's really, really good to see for this team. I think that bodes well going forward as they have a tough matchup coming up in the next round. But this was really good for the Carolina Hurricanes. On the other side, the Boston Bruins have the usual. They have Brad Marchand with 11 points, and then Bergeron with 7, Pasternak with 6, Coyle with 6, McAvoy with 5. I think if you're the Bruins fan, you look back at this series, there's not much to complain about. I think you would have liked to take one of those first 2 and not have fallen into that hole right away. But you can't complain. You never lost at home. you just came in with the lower seed. I think Bruins fans might be more focused on what the future of Patrice Bergeron is than on the end of this season. I think a lot of Bruins fans are probably torn right now. Bergeron, staple of this team for the past a long time. 18 seasons, I could have looked right there. 18 seasons in the NHL, all with Boston. That's a really long career for an NHL player. Been the captain for a couple of years, been a staple of this team, kind of the face of the team. There's nobody out there who hates him. I don't even think Rangers fans can hate Bergeron. He's one of those guys that you just love to play with, and you're somebody you want to play against. He's a good guy. He loves the sport. He puts his heart into it, and then off the rink, he's awesome. So I think Bruins fans are torn. You want him back. You love him, but you also understand if he calls it a career and says, I can't do this anymore. My body's too beat up. I'm too old. I want to just be done. Be done now, and we had a good run, and that's where it is. So he put his heart into this series as well, 36 years old, 7 points. That's amazing. I mean, Pasternak's 25. He's kind of your star, and he only had 6 points. So the 30-year-olds led the way. Experience matters in the playoffs. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see. And Bruins fans out there, how you feeling about Patrice? You think he'll come back? You think he'll retire? Watching them come off the ice, him hugging everybody. It's hard to read into. One side of me says, that's it. He's hugging everybody. But also, it's the playoffs. You're the captain. You're sad. The guys fought hard. It's a game 7. You lost. You hug your guys. I mean, that's what I would do. So I think give him some time. Don't rush him. And I think it's hard to be upset if you're a Bruins fan. Your team fought. They battled back. It just didn't work out in the end. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. This game 7 itself, we talked about already. It's a good game. Overall, played really well. Bruins, I think, like I was saying, next year, look forward to next year. You got your goalie set. You got to figure some stuff out with some players. I think, really you got to give in to Pastrnak next year and say, hey, you got to lead us. We need more from you. You're a star. Take over our team. Let's go. But enough with the Bruins. They lost. Let's focus on Carolina and going forward. Play the same game. Play the same exact way. Team game. The other team can't take away any one player because the other 5 will beat them. Play your team game. Play the way you know how to play. You'll be just fine. Go Hurricanes. The next one we're going to talk about is a super exciting Game 7, Lightning at Maple Leafs. 2-time defending champ Tampa Bay Lightning. Toronto Maple Leafs have their backs against the wall. It's in Toronto. It's Game 7. Can the Maple Leafs do the unthinkable, end their drought of first-round losses, and knock the Tampa Bay Machine Lightning out of the playoffs? No, they cannot. The Lightning win this one 2-1 in a nail-biter. What a great Game 7 it was. All goals scored in real time, or full strength, and Nick Paul is the hero. Comes out of nowhere for the Lightning. Hasn't scored a single goal in the series. Scores 2. Scores the first one, scores the game winner. Both really nice goals. Very impressive for Nick Paul, which is awesome to see. In this series, the Lightning have an interesting points chart for a team that has so many stars. Kucherov leads with 8, then Hedman has 7, Palat has 5, and Colton has 5. This series was one where, besides the 7-3 Game 4, pretty low scoring and back and forth. If you didn't win, you didn't score a ton. So it makes sense why their leading scorer only had 8. But an 8 and a 7, offensive end, defenseman. Stamkos is down there with 4. As this team goes on into the next round, as they try to three-peat, you turn your attention to Steven Stamkos. You say, hey, you're only 31. I know injuries have taken away what could have been a superstar career. Well, let's go. Let's get you some goals. Let's get some assists. Let's get you back leading us. Same thing with Braden Point. This man's a star for them. 100% elite star, and he only had 4 points. So him and Stamkos, I think you can expect them to turn it up in the next round and really go. You got past a good Toronto team. Kucherov and Hedman led the way. Let's keep rolling. And on Toronto's side, I mean, it's tough to speak to. Matthews had 9, Marner had 8, Nylander had 7, Tavares had 9, Riley has 6 points, that is. Altogether, they did so much. They fought. They scored goals when they needed to. They had home ice advantage, home rink. They battled and just in the end couldn't find a way past Vasilevsky when it mattered. And these Tampa Bay Lightning, they'll find a good goalie and they'll hold on to him. And Toronto, you lose by 1 at home in a Game 7 when everything's going your way. It's tough. There's not much to change about this team. I think this Toronto team is pretty darn good. I think it's in a tough place right now, so you got to find out how to get out of this funk and get to the next step. But Toronto offseason, fans will be upset. They have a right to be. This will be a team where the playoffs or the regular season next year does not matter at all. It's come playoff time. Who are the Toronto Maple Leafs playing? Can they get a first series win? Because they have to. It is essential that they get that. But they didn't this year. So we'll talk about the Lightning. And going for the Lightning, they're an interesting team. They're really good. Very strong team. They can score goals in so many different ways. They can overwhelm you. They can dance past you. They have their stars. They also have their hidden stars. Like our guy Nick Paul, who won this game on some beautiful goals. And it's just an overall team effort, similar to Carolina in terms of just, we're going to score, we're going to pass it. You can't stop us all the time, so eventually we're going to break through. We got a good goalie locking us down back there. So, I'd be scared if I'm playing the Lightning. Now they're by the first round, they're into the series, they're comfortable, they're confident. This team's going to go. This team's going to roll. And this team's going to roll far. And watch out if you're playing the Lightning. They know how to do it. They've been here 2 years in a row. They know what you have to do to win series. They know how tired you get. They know when it matters to score the goal most. They feel the shift of energy. They will take advantage when the opportunity is presented to them. So you have to play a perfect game. 4 perfect games. And it's hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. And this Lightning team will make you earn every second. And in Toronto's case, they couldn't find a way past for their final win, and Tampa could. Tampa found a diamond in the rough who said, yeah, I'll take over this game. I got you guys. Game 7, I haven't scored all series. Doesn't matter. Score 2 goals, both gorgeous, to win this game. Exciting if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. All right, now let's turn our attention to Kings Oilers. The Oilers won this one 2-0 at home. I was talking to my friend the other day who said he picked the Kings to win this series, and he was upset. It kind of ruined his bracket. And I said, how could you pick against McDavid? He said, McDavid is not a team. And I said, yes, he is. Did you watch the game? Because I did. And McDavid won them Game 7. McDavid, with the help of Mike Smith, won them Game 7. McDavid has the assist on the first goal. He does all the work. And the second goal, he just doesn't give up. He fights, he scraps, he gets penalized against someone, I believe, is a hooking, and he just keeps going. He doesn't stop. He goes. He had 14 points, 10 assists in this series. So he wanted to win a series. He wanted to get to the next round. He earned that spot. Evander Kane and Leon Draisaitl were right there with him, both 9 points, both more goals than assists. If McDavid's going to get you 10 assists, he's going to be passing it to people. You got to shoot it when you get it. It's what Draisaitl does. Although, I don't know that they play together anymore. But it's what Draisaitl does, is what Evander Kane did with 7 goals. So, you love McDavid. You love what he does here, proving time and time again that he is the best player in the league currently. There's some other really good ones. It's hard to compete with McDavid's drive every single game. And from a calm, relaxed guy, to see the excitement he had on that goal he scored, their second goal. That is awesome to see from a guy like McDavid, who's so calm, collected, doesn't play with a lot of emotion on his sleeve, but he bore his heart to the rink that day, and that was awesome to see when he scored that goal. On the other side for the LA Kings, I mean, I don't know what to expect from this team. They're not a team I kept up a lot on during the regular season, but your top point getter is 6 with Kempe, and you're not going to go far. So there's not much more to say about this team. I mean, good job. Dustin Brown's still around. I think maybe it's time for that to come to an end. Maybe not. Maybe so. Kopitar's still there as well. He did better than Dustin Brown this series. I don't know. This team's in a weird spot. Jonathan Quick, really good series. Still playing at a nice high level for them. So you have that to hang your hat on. He kept you guys in this series in a lot of these games. This is a close-fought game, but Edmonton had the best player, and in the end, the best player won them this series. And going forward, I mean, good luck, Edmonton Oilers, because you were in a battle against the Kings. There will be better teams than the Kings. And like I said earlier, this Game 7, this turning point game, win the series or go home, Edmonton shut him out. So McDavid took over with an assist and a goal, and Mike Smith took over, said, I'm not letting a single goal in. I'm shutting the door. You can't get by. I got this. So it's cool to see when a team at home plays their very best. And there were 3 shutouts in this series, and Edmonton had 2 of them. Twice you blank the other team, do what you're supposed to do. Edmonton, after Game 5, you're down 3-2. Win back-to-back games. That's why Game 6 can be so pivotal. If you're that Game 5 team, and we're going to see this later in the next series, if you're that team that wins Game 5, you better win Game 6. Or you're in trouble in Game 7, especially if you're the lower seed and you're going to be on the road in Game 7. Not a good place to be. So good job, Oilers. See you in the next round. Who knows how far you go? How far can McDavid carry you? Our second to last series we're going to look at is Pittsburgh Rangers. Pittsburgh versus New York is a blast of a series. This was 3-1 Penguins after Game 4. 3-1 with 3 more games to go. New York's the home team. They're down 3-1. They got back-to-back 7 goals put on them by the Penguins, and then Crosby's out for Game 5. New York wins it. Everyone's like, all right, it's okay. New York is at home. Penguins will take Game 6 on the road. No, they won't. They'll lose it. A Game 7 in the Garden? Except it wasn't a Garden. It was crazy. That place was wild. They were bumping. Really exciting goal chant when they score goals. I think everyone who was talking about it called it that this Game 7 was going to overtime. It felt like it. Felt so evenly matched. Felt like both teams wanted it badly. Going into the third period, you had a 3-2 Penguins lead. And it was just kind of a when are the Rangers going to score their goal. So Zibanejad gets it. And then OT, I mean, listening to the commentators on this OT, it was unbelievably perfect. The Rangers get a power play, and the first thing the commentators start talking about is Artemi Panarin. He needs to take some shots. He's had his chances early in the game, and he did. He had some good chances, and he passed the puck up, and he moved it over, and he didn't pull the trigger. But in overtime, pulled the trigger, took a nice shot with the screen in front, scored the goal that led them to the victory. A power play OT goal. Talk about taking advantage of advantages when they present themselves to you. And that's a big, because this game, I mean, Pittsburgh scored 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal to get their 3. So all of theirs were on either an advantage or disadvantage for themselves. And the Rangers finally get that power play goal to win the game. This was a game where momentum was shifting back and forth. Kreider scores a beautiful goal in the first on a really perfectly placed shot. Gorgeous shot. Didn't think it could have had a chance. Thought that the pass had been slowed down too much, that he wouldn't get it, have a hole to get through. He proved me wrong. Gorgeous goal. Nice job by Zibanejad to get him the puck. And then it was, Pittsburgh responds. Pittsburgh throws again. Oh no. All the energy the Rangers had, gone. It's Pittsburgh now. No. New York answers. We're back in it. Pittsburgh scores short-handed to take the lead. Oh my goodness. Pittsburgh has all the energy, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like, dang it. They got one. All right. We'll go get one more. We'll go to OT. That'll decide it. That was super exciting to have OT. Nerves were, it looked like so high in the rink. People freaking out. People worried. People excited. People really ecstatic to see kind of what was going to happen. We'll look first at the Penguins in this series. They were led by Jake Gensel and Sidney Crosby, because who else? Both with 10 points, which is really impressive. We look at those 2 7-goal games as to why so many goals and assists. But look at this. Gensel has 8 goals, 2 assists. Crosby has 2 assists, 8 goals. Something tells me they play together a lot. And they led the way. And then you have Russ with 8 points as well. So 3 guys above 8, and you lose the series. That's crazy. That's rare that happens. Really good series by them. Crosby played all he could. He was hurt at one point. He missed a game. Still played so well in this series. Still has fingertips all over it. Still has it at 34. Don't think Crosby's losing it yet, because he's not. He's still there. Amazing player. And this Penguins team was really good, and they put a fight into this Bruins team. But the Penguins team did not do what we told them to do, which was put your foot on their throat and end it. Instead, this Penguins team gave the Rangers a glimmer of hope. And in 3 straight win-or-go-home games, do or die, backs against the wall, no place to run, the Rangers won all 3 of them. And Zibanejad leads the way with 11 points. And then something you'll love to see, defenseman with 10, Adam Fox. Adam Fox became the guy in this series. Kreider also came along with 7 points of his own. Kopp has 7, Panarin ends with 7, Stroman's with 6. That's awesome to see. This Rangers team had an 11 and a 10-point getter. Really fun stuff. Really well played. They showed some heart, some grit, some desire. They showed some real desire that they did not want their season, not just series, season to end in these 3 games, and especially in this Game 7. You're down 3-2 in the third period, but you're at home. You take everything you have left, any energy, anything you have in you, put it out there. You tie it up, and you say, we just need one more moment. You get your power play. You waste nothing. Panarin scores. Rangers win. Very exciting. Good for the Rangers. And the last series that we will talk about here is Stars Flames. This is one that hard for me to watch, as it is later at night. I'm on the East Coast, so it's a challenge to watch this one. But I caught as much of it as I could, and I did catch Game 7. This series as a whole was pretty evenly matched, back and forth. Stars, Flames playing really well, close games. This was the one where it was, we're just going to double our score. Nobody scored more than 4 goals at any time. I think this is the only series where that happened. And the final game went to OT. So, these Game 7 overtime games, talk about heart-thumping, pain, worry, excitement on both sides. And, I look at Dallas and I look at, it's a 7-game series, and your leading point scorer only had 6 points. That's a big push as to why you didn't win the series. The Flames top guy only had 8, but at least it's 8. One more point than the series was. You need someone to take it upon themselves to say, I'm going to lead us and have a 2-point game or have a 3-point game. And in this case, the Stars didn't. 37-year-old Joe Pavelski has 6 points. Nobody else has anywhere, the next place is 4. 3 guys have 4. Come on. Dallas, you got to do better than that. I will say and give props to Ottinger. 23-year-old goalie, played his heart out. Played amazingly hard. Was saving everything, fighting everything off, fighting curses that the Flames fans were putting on him and voodoo and weird things they were doing in the stands. But Ottinger is one of the future goalie stars of this league, and he proved it in this series. And on the Flames side, we said, Johnny Gaudreau has 8 points, so just one more than the series was, but Tkachuk had 6 and Lindholm had 5, and, bring ourselves back to the fact that this was a very low-scoring series, so you're not going to get the 10, 11, 12-point getters. You're going to get 8's impressive for Gaudreau, and that's who he is, and 6 assists. He's an unselfish guy. He's going to move the puck around, and a lot of different guys are going to store goals, so good for the Flames. This Game 7 was, oh my goodness, what an exciting one. Calgary's at home, and Dallas goes up 1-0 in the first. Calgary answers, and Dallas answers within the minute. Nemestikov scores, and it's 2-1 Dallas in the second period. And then Tkachuk scores that second period. Oh my goodness, the emotion back and forth. Calgary, Dallas, Calgary. Fans are excited. Here we go, third period, let's win it. No, nobody scores. No penalties. What a boring third period. The most boring, exciting period that I've seen in a while. But the Calgary Flames don't care. They just wanted to make their fans a little more on the edge, a little more nervous. Hey, get in this game. Johnny just waited till overtime and said, we'll end it here. And they won it in overtime, which is super exciting. And now let's turn our attention to the future, and I'm going to pull up Wayne Gretzky's bracket here because obviously the great one is perfect so far. And we have Edmonton and Calgary, the Battle of Alberta, the Battle of Canada. That'll be fun for them. Colorado, St. Louis, Florida, Tampa Bay, and Carolina, New York. If I had to make some picks on these, I got to go Colorado over St. Louis. They haven't lost yet. So just Colorado's got some good juju. I feel like Makar and McKinnon, 2 best players in that series. I got Colorado. Calgary, Edmonton's a tough one. Best player in the series, easily McDavid, but the best team is Calgary. They're the 1 seed. I think I go Calgary. I think as a team, they pulled that one out. Florida, Tampa Bay is really tough. Really, really, really tough. I gotta go Tampa Bay. I guess Florida's streak ends here, and Carolina, New York. I got New York. Those Rangers, they battled back. They don't want to be in that place anymore. They're gonna take it to Carolina. Carolina got in it with Boston, and then New York is better than Boston. New York played a better team than Carolina did. So I got those 4 going on in the rest of in the next round. And let's turn ourselves to 3 stars of the first round of the playoffs. Our third star, you swept them, so you haven't got a lot of shine in a while, but you've been the best player in the playoffs, is Cal Makar. So good job, Cal. Just crazy, crazy good. Doesn't lead in any category because he only played 4 games. So took care of business when he needed to. Cal Makar is a star and a must-watch. The second must-watch player going forward is McDavid. Second star of the first round, Connor McDavid, because Edmonton is not the best team, but they have the best player at all times. So how far can he carry him? What can he do to this next series? What can he do to Calgary and maybe beyond Calgary? And then your first star of the first round of the playoffs. It's going to be an interesting one, unexpected one, but I'm going to give it to Igor Shesterkin. Igor, the Rangers got lit up in game 3 and 4 with 7 goals, and Igor responds in games 5, 6, and 7 by just shutting the door and saying, you're not going to score a lot of goals on me, and I'm going to lock it down. And nice bounce back for Igor, and as you go to the next round, that's your best goalie. That'll be something to lean on for the Rangers. If he can stay like he played in 5, 6, and 7, they stand a very good chance of winning the next series. And a quick check in our leaders going into round 2 of the playoffs. Your assist leader is Connor McDavid. He will continue to build on that. Your points leader is Connor McDavid. He will continue to build on that. Your goals leader is Jake Gensel. He will not continue to build on that. So when we come back, it'll be interesting to see, is McDavid still there at all? And who has replaced Gensel in the goals thing. Thank you very much for joining.